Hey, let's have some fun.
Yeah. Hey, y'all. Lisa Kipps-Brown here, your host for Adaptable Entrepreneurs. And I am happy to see y'all today. I've got two great guys, Milen and Lou Moreira. And y'all, please correct me if I mispronounce it. But they are the owners of Innovative Holdings, which are procurement experts. So I'm not going to babble long because you know me, I can talk all night. I want each of y'all to introduce yourselves and talk about your backgrounds, how y'all got together, and then I want to start talking about what you do and how companies can learn from y'all to get through COVID.
It's fantastic, Lisa. We love having for you inviting us on the show. We're absolutely honored and thrilled. And thanks so much for fantastic introduction. If you don't mind, we're going to do something a little bit more fun. I'm going to introduce Lou, and he's going to introduce me.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, that's great.
That's fantastic. All right, Lou, to you, sir.
Great. Pleasure to be here. Hey, everyone. Mark Milen here. Is my best friend. It's like a brother to me, and we are business partners, and we have a company that we have started just about a year ago. Mark has a fascinating background. He spent most of his life in the corporate world. He was a young student he double majored at Michigan at just the age of 16, and then he went over to Georgia, did his MBA, and then decided to tack along graduate school at Harvard.
And then kidding, I didn't know all that.
Mark's, he's next level.
Only Lou knows that.
Oh my gosh, how did I miss that? Okay, I'm intimidated. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Mark worked with some reputable companies along the way, like Delta and Ford and Pepsi, and then from there he went over to Bridgewater Associates, which is the largest hedge fund in the world, and he started their procurement process. And then from there he went over to Two Sigma Hedge Fund, who was the third largest, just about $70 billion in assets, and he started their procurement from scratch, and he was their chief procurement officer and later promoted to vice president. Along the way, Mark and I met back in 2014, and we grew finally as really close friends. We flirted with the idea of me coming to New York and working for Two Sigma, but through that journey, we decided to start our own firm. And here we are a year into it, several accounts and all repeat customers, and we'll dive into that here in a second. And that is Mark Milen, folks, the one and only.
Oh, wow. Y'all started in January, right? This year, January.
Yeah.
Impeccable timing. So everybody out there, when you're freaking out, hopefully your business isn't as new as theirs. So if they can do it, you can do it.
That's right.
Absolutely. And just to address the question, were we watching news when we were starting this? Yes, and we'd do it all over again if needed. So here we go.
Yeah, you actually need it more than ever, aren't you?
Absolutely. It's been a wild ride, crazy ride, but absolutely lots of great successes. Lots of demand that we're seeing in terms of the signal and what we could be producing and providing, and some pretty remarkable results. But before we dive into that, I would be horribly remiss if I missed to introduce the most fascinating person I know in the world, Mr. Lou Moreira, and my business partner in this venture. It's not the fact that I don't know a lot of people, but from everybody I've known and even cross paths, I hold Lou in the highest regard. He gave up on his full athletic scholarship at Northeastern to go and join the Army, the Honorable 82nd Airborne that we all see in the corner of the screen there. He's done almost 3 years of active duties in Afghanistan, and I counted 16 medals that he has received for his impeccable service. Mm-hmm. He's a total brainiac as well. And so he completed his undergrad at Southern Methodist in Dallas, and then also continued on to his master's studies at University of Southern California, all while qualifying for the U.S. Olympic team in bobsled, and just making sure that, he's just kicking everybody's ass. And my friend,
he didn't have enough to do. I'll just go be on the bobsled team too, right?
Right. But the best part, Lisa, is that, do you know how he got into it? He watched it on TV and thought it would be cool.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. I didn't know that. I have seen a lot of people drooling over your photographs though, Lou.
There we go.
But y'all can go Google them and see them.
Okay.
I mean, of the Olympics. That's, when you're bobsled.
You're wearing spandex, so.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Mark.
No, it's about Lou. This is about him now.
Mark and spandex.
That would not be great.
His face. Oh.
No, I am glad you won't find any pictures of that, and I promise you there never ever will be, unless either I address the hair loss or something else in the meantime. But in any case, Lou, in addition to everything that he has done, and being subject of 2 books that have been written about him, including a book about most accomplished students who have graduated from his program at USC,
Wow.
about a famous battle called Into the Viper's Nest, which was written about one of the bloodiest battles that transpired in Afghanistan, and he was an active part of, and many other accolades. He also worked in a lot of business development capacities and can sell ice to Eskimos. So in addition to it, Lou's got an incredible talent for just being on top of anything and everything that's operational. And I think the success of our firm and what we bring to the table and our ability to deliver these good results is in huge part his contribution and the result of his meticulous and tedious work in ensuring that everything from the operational side is done impeccably, that suppliers are always performing according to their contractual terms and conditions, and that ultimately we're achieving the results by also maintaining this team effort and focus and team environment and building that he has done in his background as we're moving forward. So thank you, sir.
That's awesome. And, those suppliers do not want him to hunt them down if they're not performing.
No, they really don't. That's
a great team, though. And this is something that I want to tell the audience. I think most of us, I know me included, most of the people that I've known over the years who were in procurement were either the people that worked in companies that tend to just be desk jockeys and pushing paper, and they're bored and they're just like whatever, or they tend to be all accountant acting and or kind of intimidating. And I love that you two are just down to earth, fun. I mean, not that you don't wear suits and ties, but you talk about it in normal everyday terms so that you're not intimidating business owners. And I also love that you don't start with how many people are we going to get rid of and what kind of benefits can we cut. I love that.
Absolutely. I mean, sure, we do show up in suits and ties, but really what we do is beyond that. It's not what you wear and how slick your presentations are. It's what kind of results you produce. And we're so happy to share that since we started Innovate with our combined experience and knowledge, which there's some remarkable numbers there. In terms of the combined experience, we've done over $40 billion in terms of accomplished deals and reviews, and over $7 billion in terms of savings and cost avoidance for the customers. So some pretty big numbers, but we also try to make it very accessible. And in terms of results that we've achieved under the umbrella of our firm, under Innovate, it's 17x. So for every dollar spent on our services, our clients are seeing about $17 in terms of cost savings and cost.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's
huge.
It's pretty healthy returns. But
yeah. Well, with some of the companies that I've known, usually not companies I work with, but one was the company my husband worked with. But a lot of times, let's say they're trying to get ready to sell, all they're doing is looking to cut costs, the bare minimum. The staff ends up miserable, and it actually devalues the business. But the way that y'all go about it, you actually add value to the businesses, because you're really helping the bottom line. It makes the employees happier. And I know some of the things that y'all have explained to me as part of what you did, you ended up helping them create new revenue streams, right? Or differentiate so they could be more competitive.
Yeah. And another big differentiator for us is our compensation model. We don't come in with fancy PowerPoints and charge you an arm and a leg and leave you with this blueprint for you to follow. We actually set everything up in milestone phases in a 3-phase approach, and you're not paying until each phase is individually accomplished and implemented. If it's not met, if the quality is not there, then we have what we call fees at risk. So it's essentially value-based billing, ensuring you have great results along the way.
Wow, that's awesome.
And repeat customers across the board.
I would think that's very unusual in y'all's industry.
It is very unusual. What we're doing space. We don't have direct competitors. So sometimes that can be a challenge because what we're doing doesn't exist. But you talk to people, and then they want to, it's
that's what people want to work with, people they feel comfortable with and that they feel like they can trust. And y'all end up being trusted advisors. You're not just consultants selling them information. Y'all actually end up being more like partners and trusted advisors.
Yeah, and we're rolling up our sleeves and doing the work. Once someone, signs an SOW with us, Mark and I are end-to-end process. Yes, we have a team of about 10 folks, very diverse group, including JD MBAs who are there to fully support. But it's Mark and I who you see first and last. Yeah,
nice.
And our building blocks really are based on trust and integrity, drive for great results, and making sure that we're providing obviously great transparency through the whole process so that our clients, as well as suppliers that we're partnering them with, understand and appreciate what the process is for, the way it should be, and the way that it actually fosters better working relationships between the suppliers and our clients, which then actually result in these fantastic savings and outcomes. And we just love putting it together and being creative and not being, the folks that you've actually initially mentioned, just those who are focused on beating down the suppliers or creating that one-time deal of saving somebody 10 cents and some consumable. For us, it's about the journey. It's about the transformation. It's about risk mitigation. And not only is it for us to enjoy in terms of having fun and looking at the numbers and creating good results, but we also want to take our clients on this fantastic journey and explain to them that procurement is not a boring function. It may be a support function, but really a function that is greatly undervalued, that has its time and place and presence in business of any size. As long as you're spending money on something, there's an opportunity to do it better, to do it quicker, to gain the efficiencies, to allow you to focus on your core competencies while we partner with you as extension of the team and just drive some of these great results.
I love it. All of their parents taught us growing up, a penny saved is a penny earned. And that's what y'all are doing. You're helping them save their pennies, dollars, whatever, so they don't have to earn them all over again to pay for stuff that they don't need to. Some of the examples that y'all have given me of just some of the types of deals that you've done are so amazing. And also the types or the sizes of businesses, because I know that y'all work with some very large international corporations, and I'm not going to say the names because I don't know who. Y'all can mention them if you want, but some of the largest companies in the world. So I just assumed that that's who y'all worked with. But then you said, no, you work with what's the smallest company revenue-wise that you?
1 million.
$1 million. And if you think about it, that's not big at all. I mean, somebody making $100,000 a year is like, oh my God, that's a lot. But for a small business, no, $1 million in revenue is not a lot. Can you tell them about the computer, the laptop deal that we talked about?
Sure. Yeah, that was a marketing firm in New York City, and they approached us with they needed to do a full refresh of their laptops. It wasn't many machines. It was only 15 machines, but we did official RFP. We reached out to several suppliers, and then we got it down to brand new Macs, $36 a month with full Apple eye care and a new machine every 3 years.
That is amazing.
Yeah. And
anybody that has a MacBook knows how much a MacBook costs, and it is way more than $36 a month for 3 years.
And there's no catch,
Yeah.
One client reaps that benefit because we bring many more to that one Apple account.
Yeah. So it's like having volume buying, even that, because y'all work with all of these suppliers and vendors.
Build these relationships.
So even the smallest companies benefit from the fact that y'all work with the largest companies.
That's right.
That's right. And we actually bring some of these processes that the larger companies who have the deep pockets to invest 3, 4, maybe more millions in terms of running these types of teams. And we've recognized that some of the smaller firms are at a relative disadvantage by either not wanting or not needing to have these types of teams on their teams full time as part of their enterprise. So we're able to provide, if you will, a fractional model where you can use this on project by project or as needed to supplement these needs. And the coolest part about where we actually get great degree of satisfaction, how we enjoy running our firm, is not just that we've, in the example of the laptops that Lou explained, it's not just about negotiating the lowest cost of what these laptops are. No, we took that a step further. We looked at what are the potential tax benefits that this company could get in case they structure it as an operating lease versus, potentially just a cash purchase. What advantages could we gain, and how can we conserve their cash short term? Can payments be potentially delayed? And how do we, exercise the benefits of deploying best negotiated rates, full support, their desire for refresh cycle, obviously making sure the security is the paramount of importance, and make sure that everything from the financial perspective is buttoned up. So that's actually how the deal is structured. It's multifaceted. There wasn't one thing that, a lot of people can intuitively say, oh, did it just get lucky? No, we literally explored 5 different avenues for how to structure the deal in place, wrapped it up for them, and now they're actually enabled to do it and buy it at these rates for themselves. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And sometimes folks may not even think of this till I have a conversation. They may be okay with the vendors or their suppliers, not because they don't have the kind of bandwidth. But once we can come in and help you, maybe do some supplier, rate them, test, score them, evaluate them overall, and look at what kind of contingency plans do they have. Usually, if we ask someone, if this supplier goes out of business, what are you going to do? They shrug their heads and say, I don't know. That's where we can put a plan in place, have a business continuity plan, things like that most folks don't think of until something like COVID happens or who knows what's like.
Yeah, I cannot even imagine other procurement experts even thinking that far ahead. I would think they're all thinking more about what do you need now? How can we cut costs now? Did y'all have, now obviously we all have hurdles because of COVID, but can you tell us about anything that y'all dealt with being a new company? Any hurdle that maybe somebody can learn from?
Many. Mark, I'll go after you if you want. I can go first.
Absolutely. Just in terms of conducting yourself with the greatest degree of integrity and making sure that you persevere in what you believe in, right? The space that we've kind of carved out, per Lou's earlier point, doesn't really exist, or it didn't exist prior to us. It didn't exist on the scale and from the pricing perspective that we're providing, and from the ability to actually be part of the team and not just provide, ambiguous consulting advice and disappear, but really stick with our clients and make sure that they're seeing the savings, make sure that the money is real. Sometimes we've encountered rejection in terms of we've got everything under control and everything is budgeted appropriately, but folks don't know how much they're actually spending. We've encountered, just flat out rejections in terms of people saying, well, this type of activity is not needed for us, or we're too small for it, or a million different reasons, including one which I found particularly humorous, a gentleman who told us, I don't really know what you guys do, but I know I don't need it.
I love it. And when I first met y'all and I went on your website, I was looking at some of the testimonials, and one of the owners said, I reluctantly, did this, and I don't know if I think that was his word. He reluctantly signed and did it, but how thrilled he was. When you were talking about how there's nobody else really doing it the way you are, I'm rereading Jeffrey Madoff's book, Creative Careers, and the chapter I was reading this afternoon is about white space. Finding the white space in your space where something is missing, and how can you do it and do it differently, do it better. And that's what y'all have done. You have definitely hit on that white space.
It has not been easy, Lisa. Not at all. Mark and I are starting this with no investors. There are no pre-accounts that were handed off. There was nothing thrown at us. It's just 2 guys trying to collaboratively combine our experience and having someone take a shot. I remember when we got our first account, it was a small account. We were so happy. But along the way, these no's start piling up. And like any human, you're going to look in the mirror and start guessing, am I crazy? No one wants this. What did we do? This isn't working. But not once did Mark and I want to change our business model, because the biggest factor is knowing your why. You need to believe
exactly.
If you know your why, you disregard the no's and you stay what we call pleasantly persistent on top of each thing.
I like that, pleasantly.
You need to stay on them and eventually come around.
I know a girl, Andrea Waltz, and she owns Go for No, the company Go for No, and she and her partner speak and they write books and everything, but they preach to people, go for the no's, because the more no's you can get, that's the closer you are to the yeses. And sure. I'll add on to that, and they might say this too, but I'll add on to it that if you're getting all yeses, you're doing something wrong, because that means that you're not charging enough or something. You shouldn't be in a professional type of business like y'all's. You shouldn't be getting all yeses.
Especially if you get yeses early on. That won't create any challenges or obstacles for your partners and as a company, because once you are faced with a problem, all of a sudden you don't know what to do. And a lot of partnerships fail for that reason.
Right.
There's actually another element to partnership which I feel is particularly strong, and would be certainly a word of advice from my side. Trust your partner and know who you're actually in business with. I think blind trust that is based on tremendous earned respect and the ability to know the capabilities of your counterpart, knowing that your partner has the skill set that is complementary to yours, creates just this magical dynamic and these incredible interactions that actually drive the creativity and just fuel the company through the tough times. When you have somebody that trustworthy that you can rely on, and from the start, and I'm sure it's not easy on anyone.
Yeah.
The no's pile up, and you start feeling the pressure and start evaluating things and model and having somebody who's as smart and pragmatic and accomplished that you can share these thoughts and views with and learn from the feedback that we've gotten is, I think, another huge and just superbly important aspect to running the business and knowing the true strength of your partnership and who do you have. So
that's a great point. A lot of people just bring on partners because they have the money or the contacts or whatever. And it's like being married, except maybe worse. I mean, not being married. I've been married for 32 years, so I don't mean being married, but I'm like, it's
heard that before. You're right.
Way different. It's hard.
It is. But again, just like the business itself and what you alluded to earlier on, the people enjoy doing business with people they like. You have to run business with a person you trust. And that element of security and perseverance and drive is, I think, probably the most rewarding aspect of what we've gone through in building this up.
How are y'all doing your marketing now? Since you're a new business, are you just cold calling people, or do you have referrals? Is it a mixture? Are you researching? How are you doing it?
We have done it all ourselves. It starts with personal contacts, and we've literally created this web along the way. Sure, we have a couple sales folks, but they're reaching out to their personal network.
Yeah.
And we've built on that. One call leads to someone else, and it's just that grassroots marketing technique, if you will. And it's worked. We've tried the cold call approach, but that was just door after door shut.
Yeah.
I don't need it. I don't know you. I don't care. Or all of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you can make a warm introduction, it makes it that much easier. If you can have a little bit of trust to begin with, like everything else in life.
Yeah, the more people feel like they at least, if somebody that they know has introduced you, you get the kind of afterglow effect of the person.
You get vouched or vetted for in a sense.
Yeah. So with people out there, let's talk about the really small businesses that they don't even have time to think about, leases and all that. They have their nose to the grindstone. They're just trying to keep going. And like you said, most people are like, I don't need that. I just got to keep going. What are some of your tips for people like that may be something they could do themselves to dip their toe in to realize that you could help them?
No, I think some of those super small businesses are actually our favorite clients for one reason, because we can probably drive the most impact in their space.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is their key to success, their success factors are the actual core competency that they have. And actually for them to spend time chasing the best pricing, doing market tests, evaluating different lessors, looking into tax breaks they could be getting, looking at many different geopolitical issues when it comes to continuity of supply and things like that. It's not even that they're not capable of it. They're typically run and employ some extremely smart people.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, you're actually eroding the time and the effort and energy away from what makes you great in your space.
That's a great point.
And
Yeah.
your competencies, and actually diving into some stuff that for reasonable amount, and if you're looking at 17x return, do the math. I would certainly sign up for a banker who can give me a 17x return on the investment. But you can actually alleviate that pain, focus on what makes you great, focus on your unique set, drive your business forward, focus on your top revenue, and we'll handle the rest in conjunction with you. We're in constant lockstep with our clients, making sure that we're keeping them abreast of where we're going, and obviously providing recommendation, and we'll do the legwork, but never without their buy-in and never without them fully understanding where we're taking this and how does it align with their overall goals and objectives.
I love it.
A good example would be a client we had in the food and beverage space. They do baked goods. They're nationwide. They're in LA all the way to here in Boston. And when we first approached her, she wasn't very open to it, but we were connected through someone we knew mutually. From there, it at least sparked in a conversation. Who are you? What do you do? But it was flatlined. We stayed on her, give us a shot. Let us take a look at your spend. We finally got to the point where she told us, she has 12 different ingredients for these baked goods. Maybe I can pay less for each ingredient. I haven't really looked for additional suppliers, and that's what we did. It took a couple months, but we went out. We launched an official RFP, and we replaced 7 out of those 12 ingredients. And we saved her 46% on what she was already spending.
Oh my gosh!
She was blown away.
That is amazing, and all because she didn't have time to go out, and she still might not have gotten the savings that y'all did anyway, because you have to. All the things that we talked about earlier, resources and volume and all that.
We had 40 suppliers at least answer.
Wow.
Looking for
46%.
46%.
Y'all business owners out there, if you can imagine saving 46% of your cost of goods sold or the raw materials, whatever, it might not be the entire cost of goods sold. That is amazing. And imagine how much happier your employees will be because you're more profitable. You're going to be growing more.
And it wasn't just about finding the cheapest supplier.
Yeah.
Some of the suppliers were replaced with just like a penny difference, but there were better relationships. They were more reliable. There were folks that were just more efficient. And that is a headache that you can save as well.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
that's worth a lot.
Absolutely. We approach their businesses, we would approach our own, to be quite honest. We don't look at it as a client engagement that, we'll finish at some point in time, and then hopefully we'll just move on to another one. We look at our business partners as true partners to us as well. And when we're giving recommendations and suggesting who they should switch to, we're doing it from the same vantage point that we would for our own baby, for our own business, for innovating. And that to us just gives us a completely different engagement model because we want to be there for a long time to come.
Yeah.
And, so far it's been 100% return business from every client, which we're very proud of. But it's precisely because of that approach. And we also want to make sure that the solutions we put in place are sustainable, not from necessarily the ecological standpoint of sustainable in terms of if it is a multi-year agreement. How do we actually work through potential shortages in supply? How do we address, continuity and supply chain issues and things like that, whereby they're to see the value throughout the length of the agreement and observe supplier performance objectively, whereby we know exactly which KPIs and SLAs may be in stake and what element of the relationship needs to be tweaked in order to make it superb and to make it last. So we get from doing that.
That's a really great point. And I think probably a lot of people, maybe before COVID, wouldn't have really, no, it's going to be fine. I've been using these same suppliers forever. And now everybody realizes that everything could change in an instant.
Yeah.
So, and another thing that I love about what y'all do, we all talk about our health and eating right and exercising and holistic health and all that. And y'all take a holistic view with your clients.
We do.
Look at their entire company. You don't just look at where can we slash costs. And I think that's wonderful.
We live in a world where everyone is trying to sell you something.
Mm-hmm.
We're literally trying to save you money.
Yeah.
And based on what you're already spending on, we're not introducing any new elements. We're not trying to increase what the expenditure is in order to get you savings. Mm-hmm. Quite the contrary. And I think we read an interesting statistic. Lisa, you alluded to a penny saved is a penny earned, right? But at the same time, what we do, actually, $1 saved goes directly back into your bottom line.
Yeah.
When you're looking at marketing dollars, for every dollar you spend on marketing, you're not getting $1 back. You're maybe getting 10 to 60%, depending how effective your campaigns are. But when you're looking at your actual expenses, dollar for dollar, and with direct impact to your firm's valuation, some of our clients are considering going public, and this certainly by keeping their operating costs low and their profit higher. You know what that means for the investors. Same thing for those who may want to just sell or not to mention grow or acquire others. Just make it healthier. So to your point about that holistic approach, we look at it from the standpoint of long-term viability for that customer.
It's just a smart way to do business.
Right. And we don't want to create fear either. We don't want a CFO or a head of accounting to say, oh, who are these guys coming in? Am I going to lose my job?
Yeah.
We want to empower you. You're going to be in the driver's seat. You're going to tell us what your pain points are, and we're going to work with you to help you and make you shine and look good at your next meeting. That
was something that I wondered about, because a lot of times staff does feel like, okay, and I have that with my business some, because, you know, we do design and development and everything, but I'm fine if we don't do that. I love the strategy part, but a lot of times the designers and developers that are either in-house or that they work with feel threatened because they know that we do that. But I'm like, I'd rather not do it. You do it. You know, I love the strategy. I mean, we're good at it, but I think the strategy is a lot more fun. You know, so it's the same kind of thing. You have to build that trust. And once you build the trust, not only with the people that hire you, but the people within the company, then they will really feel like they can trust you to work with you and make their own job better and easier.
That's right.
Absolutely. And we always strive not to change our company or clients' DNA. If certain things or if certain way of them consuming goods or interacting with suppliers is critical to their own identity, to firm culture, if you will, those are some of the first and primary things that we tend to tease out. And to use an example of a larger client who wanted to negotiate better travel rates, we saved them $8 million first year, but by not changing a single travel habit they have.
Wow.
By outlining what their habits and booking policies and change policies and class of service and things and most frequently travel routes are, and then taking that set of requirements to the market, whereby we literally didn't force anyone to book earlier than
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it was great fun, but at the same time, we felt that it really reflected what that company stood for and their orientation to their customers without changing the niche. Sure, obvious savings is make everybody book 3 weeks in advance. I think personally we know how that works, but the reality of the business was different for them. And we still enabled them to do it. In the first year they went live with it, it was $8 million in terms of savings. So we're pretty happy with it.
That's amazing.
They were too. Yeah.
It's amazing, because I imagine most other procurement experts, the first thing they would have been doing is not only the, you know, booking further out, but the economy, you know, the economy airlines and everything. That reminds me of when I mentioned one of the companies that my husband worked with. You know, he was gone 5 days a week. He was on the road the whole time, but it made it easier because of the freedom that they had with their expense account. And that was one of the first things that they wanted to cut when they decided they wanted to try to sell. And it's like, if you have somebody who's away from their family for 5 days a week, leave Monday morning, get back Friday evening, and then they got to sit there and worry about if they're spending $1 too much on dinner or whatever. It's just so counterproductive. And oh, by the way, the company never did sell.
Oh,
you know, and a lot of people left, and, you know, I'm sure it's not as valuable, as it was before all of that started?
Well, I think it just goes to prove that irrational decisions, illogical decisions, usually result in poor outcomes. If you don't think and visualize the entirety of what you're actually changing and introducing, I think that altruism of stupid hurts resonates deeply with some of these folks. And I think, as you said, we certainly don't go in, and the first line of advice is never getting rid of your own people. There's so many different ways that you can actually accommodate for that and make your workforce more motivated, more excited, more loyal to the firm, better, more productive in terms of not only just their collaboration, but in interest in what they're doing, by actually showing them and eliminating some of the waste and going after the efficiencies and constructing these deals and arrangements that actually save them money, but not changing much in terms of how they do it, how they consume it, and how they function. And that is just such a smarter, nicer way of doing it, because eliminating your own people is cutting your nose to spite your face.
Yeah. And that has to just be so fulfilling to the people that work there. And I'm a glass half full type person. And I know there are bad people in the world, but I truly believe that the vast majority of people want to like their job and want to do a good job and want to feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. But it's really hard to feel like that if you feel like it's not coming back the other way. If you're worrying every day about, losing your job or having hours cut or pay cut.
Right.
Absolutely. And, another interesting element as well is if you create something that is so far out of the realm of what that company stands for and what they're used to, you're going to develop leakage. So trying to change what it is, people are clever. They'll find ways to go around the process that's in place.
Yeah.
You're actually solving nothing. You're creating another set of problems and issues that are there. So for us, it's always this focus on what is the goal that we're trying to solve, and then the methodology with which we're executing and making sure that the alignment is always present. And most importantly, we want to make the journey transformative and fun and educational, not only just for our customers and their employees, but for us as well, and to show that being the support role is not something that deserves a place in a basement and to be ostracized from the firm. But we always earn the seat at the table and saying, here's the strategy. Here are the latest and greatest things that are going on in your space. Did you know that based on provision or what the government is putting in place, you need to tweak your supply chain? So we counsel them and show them that strategic value and partnership of what we bring to the table.
We had a client tell us that we make procurement sexy. So that's
Wait, did you have on spandex when they said that, Lou?
No.
I just tease it, I know. No, I just think it is.
For anyone wondering, he's in a suit and tie. He does not show up in spandex. So.
I know. All the pictures. Yeah, I'm just teasing him. Tell us a few more examples of smaller companies, and I know even the big companies, they have the same things, but something that a smaller business, like let's say $10 million business, something that business owner could relate to, that they feel like, or even $1 million business, that they feel like, oh yeah, I need to contact these guys because I believe I could, use that.
Go ahead, Mark. You're the
strategist. Right. Well, I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the opportunities are so vast and so huge, but some of the additional examples could be, for instance, in data space. Are you customer facing, orienting, or are you containing a lot of information about your customers? Not just the perspectives, but let's say if it's a medical office, or if it's somebody who deals with personally identifiable information. Where is that stored? What kind of security protocols do you have in place? What if you're breached? Do you even have the infrastructure and the ability to know which one of these bad actors is going after your business? Because I think cybercrime is on huge rise. And a lot of companies kind of neglect the investment into the infrastructure and the architecture that's needed to protect them. We also know that building the right infrastructure in this place, for instance, enables these customers to gain additional clients because they're showing their own differentiating factors and what makes them better and more trustworthy as partners. So their security, their elements of software, should some of the deals be pulled ahead, we've actually achieved about 36% savings, which again, a huge, remarkable number with one of the providers who tends to be pretty monopolistic and predatory, and most companies use their product.
Mm-hmm.
But by just understanding what is the growth cycle of the firm that we're dealing with, when are the contractual expiries, and when can we potentially pull that ahead to lock better rates and secure these better deals. We're also looking at health coverage costs that people have. We're looking at the costs of labor, prevention of co-employment issues, and other elements where actually local and state governments can come after you and penalize you for not following the rules. And certainly, I think with decreasing tax-paying base, that the states are actively looking at means to kind of supplement their revenue income. So a lot of different and creative stuff that could come there. Obviously, creating catalogs of most frequently ordered items, ranging anything from technology to professional services to media acquisitions to really even partnering with some of the accounting firms they utilize. So it's a plethora of things that folks sometimes take for granted and feel like they can't be augmented or you can't achieve results that we're particularly excited about diving into, because it's a challenge for us. It's a good learning opportunity. And obviously with good results.
It's like being on a scavenger hunt.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the biggest things is getting these owners or CFOs to being open-minded. Many times they may think they got it figured out. I don't need change. I got it. I can do it. Maybe there's the pride thing, and they're just focused on the revenue. Bring the money in, bring the money in. I want to see money coming in. But if they can just think about who's their IT, for example, are they getting the most bang for their buck? Is it efficient? Is it the best product they can have? Or their data stores, like Mark said, or their PO systems? How old is it? Is it giving you problems? Is it easy to train? Anything like that. Your firewall, your security, all these things is an area that you can really look into and actually implement something better and more affordable.
Typically, as y'all know, with budgets, every year the budget goes up. Company departments want to spend every penny that they have so that then they can get more the next year. And I mean, I understand why they look at it like that. And I used to be an accountant, which is hated it. So, but this is the inverse. It makes it fun for people. Where can we save money? And they're not punished by saving money because, if you spend less, we're just going to cut your budget. It is a whole mindset shift, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely. And it's not really about causing any adverse impact for the employees in terms of enjoying what they're getting. As a matter of fact, if you're getting it at a better rate, you can enjoy more of it and get a fatter bonus. So it's win-win if you think about it.
Yeah.
And for the suppliers, if they also know that they have you as a right business partner, they're not looking at them as a vendor, meaning a quarter in a product comes out, but you're looking at them as a strategic partner. They're more inclined to actually partner with you, to give you the best deals, to help your business out, to understand where you're going and what you're doing. And we're hopefully a first step in terms of making that happen and solving that part of the equation and resulting in sustainability of these deals. So to your point, the benefits are countless.
One of my big interests is economic development, partly because I used to be on the board for an economic development agency, and partly because I have a lot of economic development clients. And I was thinking about it the other day, and a lot of those economic developers could actually help grow their own local economies by encouraging their companies to do what y'all are talking about doing, because it not only could they save money and become more competitive, but it also might help them build supply chains. It might help them recruit companies within the supply chain to the area. If y'all came in, and I know this is kind of out there, but my brain starts going off. But if y'all came in, like if an economic development area hired y'all to come in and kind of almost do like an audit of what are all the companies and everything, I bet you that you could find supply chains that so many companies in the area are using that it would make it easier for them to recruit companies to come in those supply chains to move it. Does that make sense? Am I saying it in a way that makes sense?
It's perfect. And we actually love working with some of these economic developments and state and local municipalities as well. First, the immediate benefit is obviously from the tax perspective and the base. Nobody really likes their taxes going up so that their local municipalities can fund things that may be necessary, but were never thought of in a proper way. So creating a longer term strategy and then controlling costs and saying, sure, with the same pot of cash, now you actually get more. And we have some good success stories just from earlier this week. We were in Florida, and everybody should probably offer huge sympathies to Lou. Not only did we cover 700 miles in 2 days, and over 11 meetings, but he was stuck in a car with me, and I don't.
Oh gosh. I'm sure it was fun.
It was awesome.
We had a great time, but at the same time, it was really fun to see these municipalities get excited about things. And you know what? When it comes to a government agency or municipality or any kind of business development goals, when things go well, very few reports come out. But when things go bad, holy cow, everybody reports on it. It's just incredible. And these folks are truly swamped. They have a lot of initiatives going on. They don't have the bandwidth and the staff to help. And that's where we can actually supplement them and say, okay, if this project has been on the back burner for several months, we can come and structure it, bringing some of these best experiences and lessons learned from outside and giving you that outside perspective, and yet tying it into what your immediate goals are. And that's where I think the explosive fun solution comes, because you're actually solving a real problem. And you're looking at it from.
Look at how many people you're helping. If you can help those municipalities recruit new companies or grow the companies that they have already there, you're helping so many people. I know that is a big issue with all my clients and pretty much anybody in economic development. And what people don't understand, people love to put down those people. They love to complain about the incentives, and they love to, they don't understand that the vast majority of economic developers do it because they love what they do and they love their communities, and they really, really want to bring in new companies and or help the companies that they have grow. But when you have a time like this, and I know it's hard on everybody, but I think it's extra hard on people like that too, because everybody's worrying about where the companies are going, and they're cutting budgets. They can't do their marketing,
Right.
Sorry.
I mean, no, all valid points. Absolutely all valid points. And that's, part of the fun and part of the challenge is to figure out what's driving these communities. What is actually important to them? What projects are in place? How do you guard against natural ailments? How do you actually look at that holistic view and say, well, is it necessary to give a special tax assessment to fund something? Or could we potentially find a creative way and, kind of create this collage of solutions and suppliers and others where costs can be lower, and how best to think about it. And I think one thing that Lou and I get very passionate about in terms of finding these solutions is teasing the information out of folks. Because the key to even using a company like ours or to buying services is really understanding what are the pressure points, what is important to you as a business owner, as a municipality, as economic development council, and making sure that each step that's taken serves that specific purpose, that it isn't just like these solutions out in space and time, but are very deliberate, and that the actionable steps leading to the execution of it, or Lou showing up if things don't go well, is to make sure that we're managing them and monitoring their progress effectively every step of the way. And I think that's the most fun part, because you never outsource a problem. You actually outsource a process to which you need a solution. And we tease out those elements to make sure that we're doing the right thing.
And the teasing out is a really good point, because I think most people, we know so much about what we're doing, and we tend to focus on the things that we think are the problems, but a lot of times what we're thinking about isn't even the problem. Or the solution we're thinking about definitely isn't the solution. So I think the set of fresh eyes coming in and looking at it from a totally different perspective. And the other thing, most municipalities, economic development organizations and everything, they go through these strategic plans, but they tend to work with the same kind of companies. And it's basically just consulting companies, and not that they're not good, but they're kind of big picture, more fluff, and it's
expensive.
What?
Expensive.
Yes, extremely expensive. And then every 5 years or whatever, you're spending all the money again. And there are usually not that many actionable steps. It's more, wonderful goals. We'd love to do this, but then they have the plan and they have no idea what to do. So I love that y'all are, I don't want to even say doing the same thing, because you're not, but you're approaching that problem, but from a totally different angle. And they actually have actionable steps that they can build on in so many ways, and that they can help their community directly and their businesses directly.
Oh, spot on, spot on. Although we obviously have a lot of internal tools and templates and other things that we have developed that could be useful for these clients, each single project is totally bespoke. And we built that solution for that specific client. We never say, oh, Lisa, we've done this for John Smith. This is what worked for him. Let's do the same thing for you. One, it would be a complete cop-out to do that, because you're not John Smith. You don't run the company. That individual may. We need to understand, how is it that you're doing it?
Yeah.
Some of these bad habits and paradigms, precisely what you were alluding to earlier. Oh, we have extra budget. Let's spend it before we lose. It's almost as if thinking like, well, hang on. Could your budget actually be reduced for the benefit of your own firm and for the benefit of your own bonus, but you still get to buy the same stuff?
Yeah.
And you get to enjoy it. That's the beauty of what we're talking about.
That's amazing.
And right. Invest this money as a firm into your research and development. Make yourself even more unique. Make yourself more profitable. Make the employees even more proud. But you don't have to waste cash where it's not needed. Or the fallacy of, procurement either only goes after lowest cost.
Yeah.
It's not the case with us. We go after the highest quality for what, based on the specifications. And the other piece is, it's either about the lowest cost, forget about everything else, or it's something that's boring and not really exciting and doesn't really have, real life type application. And God knows if the savings are really repeatable. Well, that's where we come in and we change their views of looking at it. We've had plenty of CFOs who kind of looked at procurement as a smoke and mirrors type show. Yeah. They were very apprehensive about it, going, we're just not really sure how this really works. And is the money real? Should we commit to it? And they turn out to be our biggest fans.
Is the money real? Oh, yes.
Exactly. The money is real, and you don't have to be wasteful about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you were talking about with the plans and, them being expensive, I've noticed, and what I said about people have this big plan and they have no idea what to do. I've noticed a couple of other things. A lot of them are just, if you look at one, you're looking at the others. They are just plugging in. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just plugging in different names. And it just, to me, it drives me crazy. And the other thing is, most companies or organizations that do things like that, they're doing it because others are doing it.
That's a big one.
So-and-so is doing it. That means we need to do it. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves with business owners. No, you don't have to do it because everybody else is doing it. It's your business or your organization or whatever. No.
Yeah.
Do what's best for you.
Yeah. And our approach with folks who may enjoy our conversations and like the idea may move on with a somewhat of a yes. A few days goes by and perhaps they maybe spoke to some coworkers and then that got them to change their mind because they didn't talk to us. And then it happens, our approach is more, give us a small project, something low risk. Let us earn our stripes. And then from there, they always turn. It's happened like half a dozen times.
Yeah. Your toe in the water. Yeah.
That's great. We're not trying to eat the whole apple in one bite.
Yeah.
Right. And for those, honestly, who are doing a great job in terms of controlling their costs, we love working with them as well, because there's always that element of creating something they haven't potentially thought of. A new angle.
Something can always be improved. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we honestly have a ton of respect for them. Running a business is not easy. Running a department is not easy. Looking at all these multifaceted things that you do need to take a look at in order to be successful in what you do is hard work. And we're finding it obviously starting and running our own firm. So you know it, unless you do it on your own and you make it happen, you don't get to eat, so to speak. So the set of circumstances is real for us and for them. And I think it positions us differently based on the fact that it is Lou and I who are working on these accounts. We put our heart and soul into producing these good results and making sure that we're applying every ounce of knowledge that we've learned. Either that instinct in terms of survival and knowing how to lead troops through the battlefield and come alive, as Lou has done so many times, or motivating your team to go for the gold and to do the best you can for the common goal, as again he has done, or really applying the strategies that have worked but are customized for that specific goal or target or what we're solving for, is just a fantastic process to go through. And if nothing else, I think individual business owners, decision makers, C-level executives are also learning more about their companies and what the true strength and core of their firm, because without it, you actually cannot drive good value down in your supply chain and with your suppliers.
That's a good point too. And most businesses do end up doing things they shouldn't be doing just because, once again, they see other companies doing it, or they try to be everything to everybody. I could talk to y'all all night. I love what you're doing. It's fascinating. And I just love hearing the examples of things that, like you said about the travel and the laptops. Before we go, what are 1, 2, 3 takeaways that you would love for people to take away from this?
Lou, would you like to go?
Yeah, as much as it sounds, is don't let the years go by of just being comfortable, settled, and with this fire deep down that you're burying because what shoulda, coulda. If there's something you are passionate about to the core, find someone with knowledge and experience, talk to them, lay out a plan, figure it out. Passion leads and wins every time. You need a team. And figure out a way and put it together and give it a shot, because the worst thing is growing up living with regret, because time flies by, and the older you get, the faster time goes by. Summers last a lifetime when you were a kid. Now I think
they're over before we know it.
So make a plan and go after it, and don't.
That is great advice.
Go after it.
Great. I was talking with someone today, and I said, I am much more afraid of being bored or regretting something I didn't do than of failure. I can deal with failure. I don't want to have to deal with, like you said, woulda, shoulda, coulda.
It's awful feeling.
Yeah. Art, do you have anything you want to say?
I absolutely second that. What you were just discussing and what Lou was saying, that's honestly the credo of what our company stands for, and more from kind of pragmatic and where we stand as a firm, and really advice to our customers from our vantage point. Understand your spend and don't treat it as an enigma that should be ignored and something that is not part of your business. Challenge the status quo. Look at where your future is, discuss it with your suppliers, and understand how to achieve these better goals and better objectives, but just being smarter and more strategic about it. In other words, just like we were discussing, not having regrets in your personal life about things you haven't done, don't have regrets about the business either.
Right.
Know where it's going, have a plan, but understand how to course correct when needed, how to surround yourself with great people, and ask for help when needed. Not everybody operates with 100% of information. Not everybody's perfect, but it's that complement of skill sets and functions that really drives great results.
Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. And watchers, if y'all like this show, I do it every Thursday night at 7 o'clock on Facebook. And then I also have it on YouTube after that. Add it to YouTube and on my site, LisaKippsBrown.com, LisaKipps Brown.com. you can see all of the past episodes. So I hope you'll join us for weeks in the future. And I want to have y'all back sometime when we can talk about some more of your tips.
Absolutely. We'd be delighted to. Thanks so much for having us on the show. It was our absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank
pleasure
you.
to be on, Lisa. Thank you.
Thanks. Talk with y'all later. Bye.